Welcome to the Vermont PBS virtual event titled United We Ski. We saw this great film tonight and we're excited to meet some special guests. I'm Lisa Lynn, the editor of Vermont Ski and Ride magazine and Vermont Sports magazine. And you can check this out at vtskiandride.com. And we're really honored to have two amazing skiers here tonight. Both of them are members of the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame. John Eagan is a leadership coach, a mountain guide, a carpenter, a father. You've probably seen him in one or two or maybe 70 ski films. John, welcome.
Thank you.
And Barbara Ann Cochran is part of the legendary Cochran family, which runs Cochran Ski Area in Richmond. She's a gold medalist. She is the mother of a World Cup medalist right now. And just a coach and a wonderful person, a wonderful skier in our own right. Barbara Ann.
Nice to be here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We're going to be taking questions from the audience, and please chime in, type your questions in, and we'll start the chat.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, it's great to be here. So
we've been having a blast just chatting and talking about how fun it is to see the little ones ski at Cochran's.
Yeah. So, John, can you tell me a little bit more about like your experience with how you got involved with Warren Miller and all the skiing that you've done, places you've gone, everything like that?
You know, I started out at, like we were just saying, in my backyard in Boston, and eventually Blue Hills, and my mom and dad took me to Mount Cranmore. I noticed in the film they had the ski mobile. That was the first ski lift I ever rode on. It was pretty cool. And then I knew I wanted to ski. I didn't really know what I wanted to do after high school, but I knew I didn't want to stay in Boston. So I came to Sugarbush and skied here in the Mad River Valley at Mad River and had a blast, and met Warren Miller in '78.
Wow.
Never lost his 800 number, and I called him every year, you need me? You need me? So, yeah.
Now, I always think of the Eagans as being from Waitsfield or Warren, that area. I never realized that you actually grew up in Boston.
Right. It's so funny. Most people think we did grow up here. And Tony and Donna Eagan ran a flower shop in town, and they had a son. And a lot of people thought Tony was my dad. And but no, we're from Boston. My older brother went to Norwich, and I came up to visit him and ended up loving Sugarbush and never left, really.
But your whole family must be very athletic, but also love skiing, right?
My folks love to ski, and they shared that with us, and it's really something we owe them a lot for, the reward.
Oh, yeah.
Your kids skiing and whatever. And I think that's what this film was all about, right? Like,
exactly.
You're sharing this with so many people, and you see so many families there.
We do at Cochran's. It's amazing. And young families. There's so many young families with their even tots. We have a program called Ski Tots where we teach the parent how to teach their tots, and it's really fun. I was noticing it like even last weekend, just how many tots are on that hill skiing and just having a blast, just having so much fun. So right. It's been great.
I think one of the most important things about the small areas is that the little ones learn to ski on the way up the hill and on the way down the hill.
Yeah.
If you give them a T-bar, the most fun thing in the world is to knock your buddy off the T-bar on the way out, right? Come on, stay within the lines. Are you kidding me?
I know. Yeah. When my dad was alive, and he'd sit at the bottom of the T-bar, and anybody that skied out of the lift line, oh man, you'd hear his loud booming voice to get back in line. It was like you didn't want him to be yelling at you.
You'd hear him all the way up the line, would you?
Oh yeah, you would, definitely.
Well, he knew what it was like to have to put that cable back on the wheels.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Did he need the
Yeah.
tractor and the winch for that?
It definitely needed, yeah, I think he might have even engineered his own contraption to get it back on. I'm not even sure how he did it. I
Yeah.
never watched him, but I know that that was one of the things that when he was sick and we knew that he wasn't going to live too much longer, that was like we were trying to learn as much as possible before he passed away. And that was one of the things that we were nervous about, was when the T-bar derails, how do you get it back, how do you get the cable back on? But my niece, Amy Cochran, uh, like the year that he was really sick, the year that he passed away in March. Um, she, like a few weeks before he passed away, she derailed the T-bar. So in a way, it was like that was actually a good experience, that because he was still around and could explain how you get it back on.
Oh, that's good.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a great story, Barbara Ann. It's Lisa Lynn. I apologize. We had a few technical difficulties, but we're on now.
Hi, Lisa.
And
Yeah, hi Lisa.
it's super exciting. I mean, here we are getting to talk to two of the best skiers in the world, both members of the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame, and people who grew up hardcore skiing New England and have gone all over the world. So I just wanted to start out by asking you, I mean, you've skied, John, I know you've been to Antarctica, you've been to Russia, Barbara Ann, you ski race World Cups everywhere. What has kept you in Vermont?
Oh, Vermont is such a special state. It's like, even like I think I've lived, well, I was born in New Hampshire, so and then until I was 7 we lived in New Hampshire, but Vermont is definitely home. That's and I think 2.5 years I lived outside of Washington D.C., but I knew that I was always coming back to Vermont. It's a real special place. That's all I can say.
It's the best place to live, especially if you love to ski. If you can ski here, you can ski anywhere.
That's for sure.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
the next generation is proving that, right, Barbara? Look
Oh
at
yes, yeah, definitely.
And, it's such a family orientated place to be. And, that the mountains aren't just for skiing. You need to love them year round. And this place is special all 4 seasons. Or I guess we have 5, don't we?
Yeah, count mud season.
Yeah, you got to count that.
Yep.
That's great. And small scaries have played a really big role, obviously, for both of you. How are those faring now with Icon and Epic passes and COVID and everything else that's going on? Do you see small scaries being able to make it and thrive?
Well, I can talk for Cochran's. I know Cochran's is really thriving. And I think I've got to give a lot of credit to my nephew Jimmy Cochran, who is the general manager, because we were raising prices for family passes, thinking that that's what we had to do to make sure that we were financially stable. And so Jimmy had been at the helm for like a year or two, and he decided that he wanted to experiment and see whether or not, if we lowered the prices, whether or not we'd make more money because we'd sell more passes. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. So
Oh, that's great.
so we lowered the price from, I think it was $395, but after December 1st, it went up to $495 for a family pass. And we lowered it to $295 year. We didn't have any date that it went up, and it's for a family of any size, and it's been incredible. And this year we have sold so many family passes. It's amazing.
Why is that? Do you think it's COVID? Or what's happening now? What's changing?
Well, I think with COVID, there's just like families are telling us, or parents are telling us, thank you for keeping this going, because it gives us a chance to get outside, to actually get out and do something. And you know, I think a lot of families are not going on vacation, they're staying around. And so it gives them the opportunity for the whole family to go out and ski and get that fresh air and exercise. And they're just, you know, like I was a little nervous that the lodge isn't open. We say the lodge is your car. That's where you're going to have to warm up. And it's amazing that the number of people that are still coming out. And luckily it hasn't been extremely cold. We've had some cold snaps, but it hasn't been terribly cold. So, you know, we haven't had that 20 below or 30 below days that I remember growing up. But, you know, so I think that, I just think that it's giving, Cochran's is a place that people can go. It's really economical. They can afford it. It's, you know, and they're just having a good time with it.
That's great. And John, maybe you could speak to a little bit, what's the role of the small ski area in the ski culture? I mean, there used to be thousands around Vermont.
There was, and they were everywhere. In Boston, where I grew up, we had Boston Hill, we had Blue Hills, we had Wachusett. I mean, we had so many little hills all around there that just had a rope tow or a T-bar. And so it's an entry level for everybody. Barbara just said it, you know, these families can do this together, right? And this pandemic has shown us that family's what's important. And to be able to do something with your whole family, you know, you can't go out there with a 2-year-old and 2 parents and a 10-year-old and play hockey very well without someone getting roughed up, but you can all ski together. And I love to play hockey myself, but you know, the skiing is just such a family sport. And I think that's the thing that people learn at these small areas. You know, the kids from Hardack, I think it was, said it best. You know, here we are, we're doing this instead of other things. We're here having a blast. It changed our lives. And I think it changes a family's life when they, you know, get involved in a little area like this. And there's so much with you can see the volunteerism. You can teach your family so much by just getting involved in this.
And speaking of family, Barbara Ann, Ryan, Lindsey Vaughn, lots of the top ski racers have grown up at tiny little areas. How is Ryan doing, and what role do you think growing up at Cochran's has played in putting him in the World Cup and now on World Cup podiums?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Ryan just had a natural ability, and he loved to ski. He was just passionate about skiing. So he'd go out, you know, first thing in the morning, and he basically wouldn't come in until the lifts closed down. And I think one of the things that he absolutely loved, which I think is probably helped him with his love of speed, was the bombing run that we do at Cochran's at the end of the day. And the bombing run is just all the kids in the club, like once the lifts closed down and the hills were cleared, then they wait at the top of the hill, and one at a time they go down and they try and see, because at Cochran's the slope, you have the ski slope, but then to get up to the lodge it goes back up the hill. So the idea is to try and see how far up you can get going back up the other side to get back to the lodge. And he was like, he just had this great little tuck, and you know, would make it back up to the lodge. He actually probably made it further than I ever did. So it just, you know, and plus, like with a little area like that with a rope tow, even when we were training, we could just get so many runs. You get a lot of training in. And so I think that you don't need the big areas to develop into a good ski racer. You can become good on these little hills.
You know,
and is Brian recuperating after his accident?
Yes, he is. He's back in Vermont now, and he's obviously wearing a neck brace. He told me to tell everybody he's fine.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So he's waiting. Next week he should find out whether or not he needs surgery or if his body's healing on its own, which we're hoping for. Um, and they'll determine if he needs to have surgery or just to heal on his own. So,
Well,
but
we're
he's doing
happy to
really
hear
well.
that.
Yeah,
I think he
doing really
crashed going 60 miles per hour or so.
Yeah, I think they estimated that he was going about 80 before he lost control, and then, probably about 60 when he hit the fence.
So, John, you've done some pretty crazy things in your life as well. What are some of the craziest things that have happened to you filming or following Warren Miller around or just skiing?
Oh, I boy, where do we begin? I think the craziest is probably caught on Warren Miller's film in 1990 when a cornice broke off out from under my brother and I and dropped about 500 feet. And I was able to, the cornice actually had my brother's turns on it. And I was right behind him and I was able to jump over where it was and land back on the mountain. So that was probably one of the closest calls. But mountaineering and climbing and getting stuck on mountains during big storms just reminded me of what it could be like up on a Vermont mountain in the winter. Really can be cold and windy, and you learn so much about, survival, just loving skiing in Vermont. So, the kids learn so much more than just skiing around here for sure.
Well, that's great. And you were just in a Warren Miller film. Any more filming coming up, or what are you up to now?
Well, yes, we were out skiing with Tommy Day from Montpelier, who shoots for Warren Miller, and was on both sides of the camera during this film, and also with my old friend Scott Schmidt and my brother Dan, and that was really a hoot, just skiing all together again, and it was really fun. Right now, we're just really enjoying the snow that Vermont has and trying to get to as many areas as we can and explore them all while we have time,
So I was waiting for this question to come in from the audience, but I haven't seen it yet. What's your secret stash for this weekend?
Boy, I don't know, I'm going to send everybody over to Bolton because I bet that's going to be like the best kept secret out there, I'm sure Barbara doesn't want us like sneaking around in her backwoods. I know where you're probably got a secret stash right out back there. I know.
Well, the kids have, the kids definitely have their stashes all over the place.
Right. We found a stash yesterday over at Mad River, which was so fun. And my friend's 11-year-old son told her where it was, which was just so good. And then the other thing I love is that each generation has their own names for these places, right? So maybe you or I might have skied it and called it one thing, but the kids call it something else, and it's always new to everybody, and it's like they first discovered it. It's pretty neat. These things have been discovered for generations, but the first time you get to go there, it's such a big diversion from riding and doing where your parents are keeping an eye from your on the rope tow or whatever,
And Barbara Ann, you probably have plenty of sugaring lines up around Cochran's now, right?
Yeah, not on the ski area itself, but all around it. Yeah, in the woods on all sides.
That's great. And you'll be doing some untapped maple syrup soon.
Yeah. I don't have anything to do with it. I just enjoy it. So, but no, they've the boys have already been out tapping and making sure that if there's a thaw that they'll be getting the sap. When the sap starts to run, they'll be ready for it.
That's great. Well, we're hearing some great responses from the audience. Somebody told me that they ran into you, Barbara Ann, and heard the bombing run firsthand, which is terrific. So I suggest maybe we should have the bombing run with John there too. John versus Jimmy.
Oh, let's go. I love that.
Yeah, it's the bombing run. They start with the littlest skiers and then go to the oldest skiers. So, John, I think you might be the last one to go.
I could be at my age. I'm going to be frozen like a popsicle at the time I get to go.
Uh,
I also wanted to ask about a couple of years ago, I believe Glen came through Vermont on his down home tour. And did either of you get a chance to ski with him then? And if so, what was that like?
You know,
I met John. I met him, but I wasn't there when he was on that tour, but he stopped by, I think on his way to Stowe. I can't remember why I wasn't at the ski area. I was gone someplace, but so I never got to ski with him at that point. But I did meet him when he was on his way to Stowe, and he just happened to stop at Cochrane. So we didn't go out and ski or anything, but he wanted to stop in and say hi.
He didn't do the bombing run?
Not that time. I don't even think he had his skis. I mean, he didn't have his equipment on or anything. He didn't stop to ski, just stopped to say hi.
right. That's great. Yeah, he did stop, and we got to ski with him for a day, which was really fun. And I know he went up to Hardack and Northeastern Slopes too. So yeah, he made the rounds, and he loves the little areas. He knows the value of it. You know, he skied at Mammoth, so he was exposed to large areas, which is really cool. But when you get into the roots of skiing, almost everybody started at some little tiny area that they learned to love the sport just because they were doing lap after lap after lap. And one thing about your hill, Barbara, is that you're riding up the lift, and there's your buddy in the race course right next to you. So
Yeah.
the camaraderie that gets built up amongst all those kids from all the different schools when they're watching each other train on a Wednesday night, you know, it's just really special to see that.
Yeah.
And it's something you miss when you're on a high speed quad and you're zipping up above, and there's 4 people that aren't even talking on a lift, and nobody's paying attention to the skiers, and there's no hooting and hollering, and the camaraderie is really special at these areas. And I think that's what skiing is about.
Yeah.
That's a great way to sum it up. And we really thank you both, John Eagan and Barbara Ann Cochran. And a huge thank you to all of our guests, and to Tyler Wilkinson Ray and Elliot of T-Bar Films for making United We Ski, which was originally aired here on Vermont PBS. I'm Lisa Lynn, the editor of Vermont Ski and Ride magazine, and we have stories about, I think, all of Vermont's little ski areas at vtskiandride.com. So thank you, and hopefully we'll see you somewhere in your secret stash tomorrow.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.